Good evening, travelers of the night. Welcome back to The Stranger, where the immersion of an audio drama meets the chaos and uncertainty that is Dungeons & Dragons. Today we're joined by Ari as Esperanza.
Oh, we're ready to tackle this mountain, I think.
Asteria as Dr. Isadora Glass.
Sometimes you kill the bar, sometimes the bar kills you. Sometimes you are the bar because you've already been killed. Look, she's dealing with a lot.
Matt as Nihilus von Stonen.
I can feel the hands clawing at me.
And Shane as Trevor.
A mostly fine, orcish kind, stuck in a shaft where the only thing that's mined is our minds.
That was great. We're also joined by a returning guest, Kyle as Vander.
Well, I don't have anything to follow up that, but howdy, y'all.
Without further ado, let's get into the highly anticipated, I would assume, continuation.
You have to be confident. It is anticipated. You love us.
I suggest that you have been highly anticipating this continuation of The Stranger.
You will like, comment, and subscribe.
Love us. An old asylum on an island. Vander, you sit in a small metal chair in the corner of the room. There's bare furnishings, small, barred windows, and heavy locked doors with peepholes. This is a facility where its patients are the ones being secured and watched. But you're here. You're here for someone else. Abigaile, who developed the early signs of salt lung, having breathed some of that harsh, salty air in the wasteland, coating some of her inner lungs with salt, her lips now starting to look dry, her skin just a little bit stretched over her bones, and a wheeze that whistles every time she breathes. She's not looking good, but the orderlies here assured you that they can help. They come in and out. They bring medicines, sometimes multiple. And having sat here now for several hours, you've noticed her condition, Abigaile that is, not yet improving. And the orderlies, they don't say anything. They don't tell you what they're doing or what they're prescribing, just that it's a medical facility and they know what's best for her. As the orderly, having given another set of pills, steps out of the room. Not yet a doctor to have walked in. Perhaps, if there is a doctor on site, he's preoccupied. And Abigaile, as that orderly steps out of the room, closing that heavy metal door in the sparse, incandescent lighting, she turns her head to you. Vander, I don't like this place.
Look, Abby. These people here, they know what they're doing. At least that's what Dr. Glass said. Dr. Glass said you could get help here. And look, I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But everything's gonna be all right, baby girl. I promise.
Okay. Okay. Time goes by. Medicine, pill after pill. And as the hours stretch throughout the day, you hear a commotion in the halls. The orderlies, they seem to rush from end to end of the building. You're not sure why, because nobody will say anything until finally an orderly comes in. Vander, is it?
Yeah. When are we going to see the doctor, sir? She's been here a while now. She ain't doing a whole lot better yet.
Sorry to say this, Vander, but the doctor is preoccupied. There's a growl in his voice. He's a hairy, gruff figure, very firm in his tone. And even he looks like he's ready to run down the halls in the other direction because a commotion continues to echo from the other wing.
What's going on out there?
Nothing to worry about, but the doctor will be unable to visit Abigail's bedside. I fear that we might not be able to help her in the way that we hope to in this facility.
Oh, what the hell? I mean, who do I need to take her to then? She's going to get worse before she gets. She needs help. You got to point me to somebody.
He looks out that barred window which overlooks the ocean off this island and to the Citadel.
Knew I should have took you there. Well, do you have a way of transport? So I need to. I got the script I could pay. I need to get help quick.
The ferryman will take you to the dock. The rest of the way is yours to make. The next carriage isn't for several days.
All right, fine. We've been through worse. Well, we've been through worse. All right. I look. Does Abby look like? Is she look like she's? Can I move her? Is she weak? Is she in pain?
As soon as the orderly made it clear that you're not staying there, she already started removing that blanket and slowly lowering her feet to the floor. You see she can stand, though she looks weak and pale. You hear that wheeze in her lungs as she breathes.
No, Abby, don't push it. If you can't, if it's too painful to walk, you already know I'll carry you. I got no problem with that. We'll get you to the Citadel. We'll get you some help. I promise.
Okay.
And then I pick her up.
And briskly, pushing past the orderly, as you walk into the hall, he says, "Wait!" And he goes into the small bedside table where they keep all the different medicines, and he takes out a small glass jar and hands it to you. If her condition worsens, this will keep her going for a short time. There's 6 pills in here.
Okay.
They'll keep her going. Go!
All right. Come on, Abby. Let's get the hell out of here.
You hear as the orderlies are now rushing by you as if you're going against the river. They are muttering, "We have to keep them locked. We have to do something about this. The doctor, he's not happy." But Abigaile being your priority, you head out of the door of the wing and to the boat that takes you to mainland. And Vander, as you travel, her condition gets worse. Never better. But by the time you got to the crossroads, she was already less capable of walking on her own, even if you let her. And as you walked through bogs, mountains, and valleys and forests to make your way here, Abigaile, she can no longer stay conscious on her own. She's asleep for most of the way now, with what little air she's able to feed into her lungs. And at this point, you had a decision to make. To make it to the Citadel through the main entrance would be a day, maybe more. But there's a faster route. You've taken this one before, but not from this direction. The salt mines, you're aware that they connect to the sewer system of the Citadel. You saw their entrance when you last escaped from Penny Dreadful, walking past to another exit. But this would turn a day's trip to mere hours.
And there's no question to it. I gotta get her help as soon as possible. I'm gonna go to the mines. We're gonna go to the sewer, baby girl. Just hold on. Help's not far away now.
You rush through the dirt roads over to the entrance to the salt mines, and there you find a rusted metal fence. It's metal, its posts bent to the weight of time. A place that is seldom frequented by any worker, abandoned to most. And just as you get there, Abigaile, coming to for a moment, belabored, she taps on your shoulder. Vander.
Shh. Well, it's quiet. What is it? What's wrong?
Vander, leave this. And she takes the mask that no longer serves her, that one that resulted in this illness. Leave this here. In case somebody who knows us...
Yeah, sure. Sure, whatever I can do for you. We're gonna get you another one anyway. This one's all busted. I'll leave it behind.
Then, going down this dirt road, as you approach a cliff, you see that the land had slid out, and all that was there was a boulder set into the ground. And Vander, you're a survivor. You can get anywhere you need to go. And so affixing a rope to this boulder and scrambling down this fallen land, you make your way to the base of the salt mines. The main entrance, as you lift Bandit off of the ground to climb down and put him back down onto the ground, the main entrance before you. You see these mines, they've been abandoned for a while. There are various passages. Some of them collapsed, some not. The rusted buildings. And one way in, the closest that is. Abigaile now, she's out again.
Okay. Alright, baby, you can do this. It'll be alright. And I whistle to Bandit. Come here, boy. Look, I need you to run on ahead. You know the deal. Any sign of trouble, you let me know. We gotta be quiet, we gotta be quick. And I give him the command to head off.
And he runs into those tunnels. And just as he does, Vander, when you were in these salt wastes, water stalkers, they work by a code. They work together. But sometimes they don't. Because when you're out there, it's easy to just have somebody disappear and take their supplies, use them for yourselves. There are water stalkers that have done that, and you've had to defend yourself before, but you're capable of it. You know what it's like to be attacked. And as Bandit runs in, you see one of the boulders at the top of this tunnel collapse down before him. It pins Bandit to the ground. You hear a whimpering and then a snap as you know the sound of his collar snapping off of his neck, and you hear the labored footsteps of this dog still rush off with a limp into this tunnel looking ahead for you. But that entrance has now collapsed, separating you.
It's just a mine. I've been in here before. I can find my way. I can do it. And using my ranger survival skills, I'm going to attempt to find a secondary passage to the mines.
As you enter through another passage, you hear Abigail's breaths getting even more shallow. And now you can hear that it's starting to sound like she's not getting enough air. As you enter into this mine, you recall the vial of pills that was given to you, and you also recall your water stalker training.
All right, Abby. Yeah, take one of these. And I gave her one of the pills. Do I have any idea of how I can make it easier for her to breathe here?
Roll survival.
That's an 18.
You have to act quickly. You give her the pill first, and it dissolves right away. Its effect is pretty quick. You can feel her breathing get just a little bit better. But you know there are other options. Few, that is. She needs oxygen. She needs to get more into her body, and with an 18, as a water stalker, you know what salt lung can be like. It coats the inside of your air passageways. The salt crystallizes on the inner portions of your lungs, and because there's so much of it, it continues to crystallize even when you're no longer in the salt wastes. If you have to. Now, right now, you know you don't, because 1 out of those 6 pills has just been used. You feel her passageways for breathing expand just enough to let her continue to breathe like normal. But if the time comes that she's no longer able to get enough air into her lungs, you can puncture her lungs. That would be your last resort. And by the time you do that, you know that Abigail's hours are going to be running very close to her end if you end up having to bypass her windpipe.
I'm gonna come to that. I'm gonna get you help, girl. I'm gonna get you help.
As you walk into the tunnel, you can't help but recall the strangeness of that boulder falling at just the right time to risk Bandit's life. And as you look down those narrow passages, they seem to stretch into the distance. They warp. It's almost as if the mountain is breathing. And you have this bad feeling, this instinct of a water stalker that falls upon you. It's as if you're being attacked.
Nothing to it but to go through it. But I'll keep my eyes out for any sign of trouble. I'm in heightened awareness mode now. I can't ready my bow, but I think I can carry Abby in such a way that I can pull out an axe at least to keep it at the hand, keep it at the ready.
Okay. You pull out your axe, your feet crunching on the crystallized salt that interplays with the clay layers of the mountain. Like a zebra-striped pattern, you walk through these eerie and dark corridors. And while you're doing that, we'll go a little bit into the future, where we left the party. Esperanza. Boira. The scene before you, it fades. You see that meteor strike the ground in the distance, out of space and time, you float in this void. And you see that small tear where Dr. Glass's cane would be, that would connect you back with the rest of the world. And everybody, as you remain connected, you continue to experience Esper's experiences together. Though, in the far distance, you see a silhouette. It's not the shadow. The shadow, as you look towards it, floats next to you. It holds your hand, ready to usher you back safely. But that silhouette, it is familiar. And it's walking. It's walking steadily in your direction.
Esper is utterly stunned by what's transpired here. There's a good way to say it is that she's overloaded. There's things working in Esper's mind that they can't comprehend quite yet. So when they notice a different sort of shadow, they're just staring at them, watching it approach in just a complete stupor. Like there's nothing willing Esper's body to move or their mind to make a decision yet.
I'd like for you to roll for me perception. The DC is going to be a 12.
That is a natural 1 for a 0.
A natural 1. A natural 1. How interesting. As you focus intently on this, its familiarity, it looks just like your shadow in its gait, its stature, the way it moves.
Who are you?
Who are you? It's like you blinked. It's like there was a glitch. It's like the world zaps for a moment. And it's closer. It's halfway to you now. And as it walks, I would like for you to roll insight. This will be your last chance with a DC of 12.
Okay. A natural 7 for a 6.
This shadow, this one that bears resemblance to your own, it radiates freshly cooked bread, places that are soft and comfortable. It radiates home. It carries with it what in this moment feels like a past decision changed, a future that you could have had, but you didn't. It carries with it all of the promises of a better and different life as your world zaps and it's halfway closer to you now.
What is my more familiar shadow doing? Is their grip on her hand different? Do they have any sort of... Is there a tension or anything?
This shadow, you don't have to roll an insight because you know it. You feel like you do, especially here. It carries with it pain and uncertainty. It carries with it orderlies pinning you down. It carries with it new friendships made and escape from those who would keep you locked up. It carries with it the false promises that Faust made. It carries with it the memories of Trevor and Dr. Glass and Nihilus. You feel the other shadow, the one that looks all too familiar. It carries with it promises of a life not had. You blink and there is a zap in your world. As it's upon you now, it will continue to approach if you do nothing. The shadow grips your hand almost unknowing of its presence, waiting to usher you to the exit.
I'm sorry, but I already know that I can't go back. And Esther's going to squeeze her other shadow, her much more familiar shadow. She's going to squeeze that hand tightly. If Esper knows its promises, Esper knows that they're false. And Esper has already faced the possibility of what would happen if she could go back. But Esper knows that they cannot be different.
In this moment, as Esper, are you asking your shadow to rid you of this place, to leave?
That is exactly what Esper is doing.
As it approaches, you recall getting that glimpse of a different world when you were in a place just like this. You wanted to go there, even just for a moment, to see what it was like. And this shadow, it's all of those things you expected to see, and more. As it continues to try to approach, you float with yours towards the exit. You step out of this void space, your spirit flowing back from Dr. Glass's cane and to your body. And just as you're about to exit this place, as you look back into the void, you see not just one shadow, but many in different places, all coming to this place. And you're awakened. As everybody else, you feel your consciousness come to, this vision through Esper fade away, and you're standing in the wet, damp mines. Their discomforting atmosphere, the salty tinge of smell. Dr. Glass, as Esper leaves this place, your consciousness, it remains here tied for a moment longer. It's like that feeling when you're about to walk through a door, but somebody grabs your wrist at the last moment to stop you leaving, to talk to you for one final moment. You don't recognize this hand. It's massive. It's cold. It's hard as stone. And you hear, "What should I call you?"
And that immediately strikes her as what she asked Luminoth. And she says, Call me the good doctor.
Doctor. Good doctor. You're empty now.
The mind cannot fathom a void. I might be empty of something, but not empty.
But the void can fathom the mind. These thoughts, these memories, they come to you as if you're being communicated with in a way that isn't with words. And you see Eirik scribbling in a book. You see Abelard. You see Lord Felix Royce. The equivalencies of others who are like you. I will fill the space. Soon, good doctor. You see the mountain, and you see the collapsing tunnels. You see them collapsing on workers and miners. You see the comedy of it all. You hear the voice telling the jokes.
Why? What do you want from a humble nightjar?
I want to walk again.
It's overrated.
In this space, all these shadows that walk towards you, these aren't your shadows, they're someone else's. They're Esper's, but among them, in the distance, you see a shadow of indescribable form. Its stature as tall as a mountain. Its claws with its one appendage striking into the void and dragging itself forward towards you. It's coming this way.
You know, it's a risky proposition, making me afraid. I don't naturally believe in absolutes like evil and good. I might have been amenable. You're making it difficult to negotiate. What should I call you?
I have no name. As the claw, it strikes that void again and drags this mountain-sized body forward. But you will remain in this place. And if you do, I will arrive. The claw strikes and drags again this massive body. You feel this is your domain. You feel you can leave, or you can stay. But if you stay in this mountain, within the corridors of this mine, it will arrive.
I name you then. Desperation. And I leave.
You hear the echo. As you open your eyes, and you see your friends. They come to before you. The mine is wet, damp. The air is putrid. The corridors, they echo sounds of death. Drops of water crumbles of rock. And somewhere out there is an exit. But who knows where that is? As you all awaken.
Dr. Glass groans and hoists herself up to her elbows and looks at the others. Says, "Is that what happens to you all every time you go to sleep? I don't care for it. I prefer not being able to dream, to be perfectly honest."
I mean, they ain't all bad. Sometimes you're falling. Sometimes you're at work and your pants are gone. Sometimes you're dying, but you don't really die. Sometimes your teeth fall out. It's, there's a lot of options.
I get a lot of the teeth falling out in my line of work.
Very curious. I don't have any particular nightmares like that at all. I dream of lavish winds and the summery sky and the vast oceans and the expansion of Kinstone and Saurus' testimonium reaching to everyone's hearts.
Wow. I guess you win. He walks on over and he's going to walk over to Dr. Glass and offer a hand to bring her up the entire rest of the way.
Yeah, she takes it.
I'm getting sick of this.
So, Wes, how do I feel compared to before all that?
For a while now you felt empty. Something was missing. Now, that something missing has a name. It's your soul. And you ushered it, yet you're standing here. How could one be gone and not gone at the same time? But the voice of that desperation, something about it resonates. When there is a vacancy, can it be filled?
She's lost in thought. She tells herself that name she gave, the good doctor, was a false name. She's not sure, though. She says out loud, desperation. It's just a word that interested me once. I remember looking it up. Recklessness from despair, loss of hope. But she goes to Esper and very gently runs a hand over their hair and pulls them into a very gentle embrace of gratitude.
All right. So, another dream, another vision, another,
Esper, what you and I are going through is so near, but so far.
It was like when we looked in the orb, but the orb just showed what was the maybes. This felt like it wanted to push the maybes, like it said it could give them. And I don't know why, but that felt wrong. It felt like it might be lying.
But I gained strength and power from one of those could-have-beens, those maybes.
But that was it. we touched the orb together, that thing tried to force its way to me. It didn't ask me to choose. Does that even make sense?
Yes, of course.
I don't know.
You called my bluff. I don't know either. All right, let me sit down a second and see what I think we know. There's some sort of void and or nexus. Abelard, my late magical mentor, felt strongly that this island was a strong connection to it. So far that seems to hold up. I, a Nightjar Nexus bound, can to some degree tap into it psychically. But what we've found is there are other ways to be different. Jane, Esper, instruments, let's say, of the Nexus. Different kinds of instruments. And I just keep getting such mixed signals as to whether this Nexus, whoever's pulling these strings, whether it's neutral or an entity cold as avarice, just told me that I was empty and my mind would be filled until it was broken, so that what I named desperation could walk again amongst us.
So, we get an inkling that this thing wants something, that this thing has an end game, a goal. That's a clue, right? It has something that it wants, and it's talking to us to try and get it.
It needs something ferociously.
Dr. Glass, you hear around the corner. It strikes your attention. Your head whips to look at it. The patter of small feet, maybe with claws.
Like doggy feet? Sorry, to metagame.
You see Bandit round with a limp and leaning against the wall a little bit, belabored to walk. He comes up and he starts licking your leg, Dr. Glass.
I think we can agree Dr. Glass probably not a dog person. But, like, it would be, I think if I said, oh, Dr. Glass loves dogs, you'd all be like, But she is very happy to see this dog. And then she says, oh, Bandit, oh, good boy. And she pats him on the head, very, like, flat-handed, like someone who has maybe never willingly touched a dog in her life. Yes, good boy. How'd you get under the skirt is so long, your tongue is so... Where are Vander and Abigaile?
You see him look back the way he came, and a whimper comes from his mouth.
I just remembered I don't speak dog. Does it...
Yeah, I can tell. Give me a second here. He's gonna go look over at Bandit and he's gonna get down on one knee. Hey, come here. And give a little thing to get him over here.
Roll animal handling.
All right. I rarely ever get to use it, but I'm pretty good at it. Unless I roll a 5, in which case it's 10.
He comes up. He's a very obedient dog, and as you call for him, he rests his chin right onto your knee.
Oh, buddy. All right. Hey. He's gonna reach into his pack. I mean, he's got rations to spare. At least a few. Put a piece of jerky close to him just to get him to take it. All right. Where's Vander, buddy?
He barks. He turns his head. He takes 3 steps in the direction he came, and he looks back at you.
Yeah, go get him. Go get him.
And he starts pattering down the halls. And every time he gains some distance, he stops and looks back for his friends to follow.
Maybe some good news, maybe some very bad news, but I reckon it's at the end of this trail, so let's go.
I saw his eyes. It is a great pleasure to see you, Bandit. Let us follow.
Right. Right.
Vander, you go through these tunnels, and as you carry Abigaile, you look back towards the entrance that you came from, which is very far now. All this time, you can't shake the feeling that you're being watched, that you're being attacked even. And you're a well-prepared water stalker. If somebody were to get the drop on you, you'd know. And that sense seems to be shared. You feel as though a stalker waits in the mist for you as you see the entrance you came from crumble slowly, almost tauntingly. You look back for a moment and you see this happen.
I think, how big of a tunnel am I in right now?
As you descend through these corridors, it becomes more and more narrow. The rails in the center, which would presumably carry mine carts, they eventually end to a portion of the tunnel that seems to have continued being built out without the aid of that technology.
And as far as I can tell, looking around, I have a straight shot ahead of me or a path I'm following. There's no deviated paths going off another direction, no tunnels off into the distance anywhere.
As you walk through these halls, something strikes you as odd. Corridors that you could have branched off in other directions seem to have already closed ahead of you. You didn't hear the rock crumbling, but you have one path. Just one, and perhaps that's intentional.
And actually, I think that works out for the better. I'm gonna pause for a moment. I know I'm in a hurry. I'm fire focused on getting Abby help, but I'm gonna set her down for just a second, and I'm going to take a few steps back, seeing that there's only one passage behind me. And I might not be able to know what's ahead of me, but at least I can prepare for what's behind if something's following. And I'm going to take a minute to carve out the diameter of an alarm spell on the path behind me. At least that way, if something's following me, I'll get notified.
A thin piece of arcane twine pulls taut across this corridor. As you continue down, you can hear the whimpering of Bandit in the distance. They echo down these narrow, moist halls.
All right, Abby. You can hear that, Abby? He's Bandit. He's nearby. He's bound to find an exit. I'm going to pick her up gently and with caution abandoned, I'm going to start making my way towards the direction of Bandit.
You approach. The first turn in this corridor, you see Bandit. He stands frozen. His hair is standing on his neck. He doesn't bark, but that whimper, you know Bandit well enough to to know that he's afraid at whatever he's looking at around that corner.
All right. Oh, boy. Oh, hold on one second. Do I see any... Is there any place I could set Abby down to where, like behind cover or any kind of like rock face or mine cart or anything like that?
You set her down in a crevice in the wall, a jut rock that she can be tucked towards. And you see that place where Bandit's standing seems to be like a crossroad. There are other options, but he's looking at one. What are you doing?
Well, now that I have Abby down and my hands are free, I'm going to stow the axe, draw out my trusty bow, draw the string taut and notch an arrow, and I'm going to press my back up as close to the inside wall of this rock face and take a deep breath. Look at the direction Bandit is facing. Now or never. And I'm going to turn and I'm going to just have the bow drawn and ready to fire if I need to.
You turn the corner. And because of what you see, I need you to roll a wisdom saving throw. Now, this is an important roll. The DC is going to be a 20.
Good luck, Vander.
You can use any bonuses that you have.
That's a 6.
Ooh. You turn the corner, and you see a fleet of salt miners. They stand around a mine cart, its rails having arrived from a different corridor. Inside of it, you see piles of salt, mining helmets. They look tired. And you see where they've been mining, a crevice on the wall. Inside of it seems to be an old medical supply crate from perhaps a different people. One of them turns, noticing you. Whoa! Friend. Please, we're just working here. Not looking for any trouble. How did you even find your way into this place?
Desperation brought me here, friend. Look, I don't mean any trouble. I'm just trying to find my way back to the city. I got a very important thing I need to tend to. If you could just point me to the closest exit, I'll be out of your hair.
Sure. Yeah. It's right through here. Down in that direction, but what do you need the city for? It's been dangerous for a while now. There's riots in the streets.
Now tell me something I don't already know. The city's always been dangerous, friend. I wouldn't go back if I didn't have need for it. I got a friend in need of medical help. I'm just trying to get Patty to get some supplies for him.
Well, looks like whatever god you worship is looking out for you, because we found something. He looks towards a crate that's buried into this rock. It has this white circle with a red cross on it. He says, the people who used to live here, they buried stuff. Some of the tunnels collapsed in the past. And this is a medical crate. Maybe it's got what you need.
Maybe. That sure is fortuitous. You sure you don't mind if I take a look?
Sure, but we gotta dig it out. There's no way we're gonna be able to open it with how much of it we see right now. He grabs a pickaxe that's leaning against the minecart. Here, you take one, I'll take one. Frank over there, he's organizing our supplies, but he'll start swinging the pickaxe as well once he's done.
Yeah, sure. I don't mind lending a hand. Yeah, if it helps you get it out faster.
Yeah.
I'll take the pickaxe and go in the direction he points me. the crate.
Okay. You start striking at that stone. Over and over again, you strike, cracking small pieces of salt and rock away from the wall. And as Bandit leads you, Dr. Glass, Trevor, Nihilus, and Esper, you approach a corridor where you see Vander. He's sweating. He's pale. He's covered in scrapes, calluses. He looks thinner, maybe a little bit, but maybe that's water weight. His helmet has been put to the side because he is clearly focused with each strike of this pickaxe to continue taking rock away from wall. He might have been here for a long time.
Is this another instance of a rock wall that is very clear, just cannot be cleared in anywhere near a reasonable amount of time?
At this point, he's made a considerable amount of distance, having carved almost the entryway to a new corridor. He continues. He doesn't even look towards you as Bandit stops at that same corner and whimpers.
He's giving me the spooks.
Fancy meeting you in a place like this, eh? He's just slowly walking up to Vander as he says this.
Careful, Trevor.
For context, Kyle, you hear this. You hear it, and it startles you even because you were so focused, and you are so close to getting that crate. If you just remove one more piece of rock, it will be free enough to open and get the supplies you need. But you hear your friend's voice in the meantime.
Trevor, that you? Take it. Find a pickaxe. Help me out. Well, I almost got it. Hold on, baby girl. I got you. It's right here.
Esper's like trying to peek. Got what?
Hold on, Vander. Okay. Bandit just led us here. We're just here to see if you were all right. Are you? You look rough. Are you okay?
I'm fine. I don't matter right now. I gotta help Abby. It's right here. Help me get this box out.
Is there a box?
There is no box.
Trevor. I don't think he's quite here with us.
Now, listen here, Vander. I think maybe you need to take a break. Get some water in you.
No time for a break. Abby is hurt. She's gonna die if I don't get this box. Come on, man. You gotta understand me here.
Vander, I don't see no box.
May I cast Detect Thoughts on Vander to see what he's seeing? Like to know what the box looks like and things like that.
You cast Detect Thoughts, and what appears to you is an echo of a shadow hanging out of the wall. Looking at this, it resembles all of those shadows that were walking towards Esper. It resembles also the great big shadow that at this moment still you feel in the distance continuously striking its claw into the void and dragging its body towards you.
First of all, Esper, I think you made the correct choice.
That's good to know.
I say into Nihilus's mind so Vander doesn't hear. I can heal physically. Sometimes I can help. Do you have anything magical that that's designed for this kind of thing, for possession. He might not let me in close enough to try my...
Possibly, if I were to know. If I were to know what exactly is going on, but it is like he has been haunted, cursed. There's something enfeebling with his mind. Where is Abigaile?
Vander, you hear this as you drop to your knees. You're almost there, and you start digging at the wall with your hands.
She's right over there. I set her down. Bandit's watching her. Oh, she's...
Where, Vander? Look.
I turn it... Do I turn and look?
Roll a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah.
Natural 20 for a 22.
All right, hey, let's go.
Yes.
Vander, the mention of the name Abigaile, where did you leave her? How long has it been? What goes through Vander's mind as, for the first time in many, many hours, you turn your head away from this crate?
Oh, God. The pills. Abby. And I immediately turns, fumbling into his pocket for the supply that was given to him and rushes back over to where he left Abigaile at.
Rushing past you, Nihilus, he almost strikes your shoulder, barreling through. You see the intention and the mission in his eyes. Suddenly, everything's changed for him, and he runs down a corridor to his right and to where Abigaile is. As Vander, you approach and you see she's on her last breath.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm just going to fumble as quickly as he can, probably having a difficult time getting the pill bottle to open up, and forces one into her mouth.
You force a pill into her mouth, and it's not enough. She needs more. It's been a long time, and she's pale.
Dr. Glass. Dr. Glass, can you help?
Hearing that, calling over to Dr. Glass, Trevor is going to go like, I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. And Dr. Glass's permission, Trevor is going to try and pick her up.
Splendid.
Kind of cradle princess style, and is just going to start running, noticing that she's been a little more sluggish, and he's going to start to carry her over there.
The limper who's moving at half speed from exhaustion. I like that image, and I appreciate getting consent.
Fireman style, you pick her up and you're running to follow Vander, and you hear this exchange as you approach. By the way, just generally, feel free to assume minor logistics, everybody. You can always just presume like you would have followed, you know. You don't need my approval for those sorts of things.
Oh, I know. I just wanted to put that image in your mind. He's running over, and as gently as he can, while still in a haste, is going to go like, okay, oh wow, she's bad. Looking down, setting down Glass, and he is just going to back up and go, okay. Breathing's good. That's about all I know, Doc.
All right, yes. The breathing is good. The breathing is one of the things we look for. And so she's first going to use her healer's kit on Abigaile, and she's going to say, mentally into her mind, "You're not allowed to die yet, sweetie. I have to find out your secrets." And Abigaile has bardic inspiration.
Roll a medicine check.
Niles would like to kneel down next to Dr. Glass and try to assist in however he can.
Please roll that medicine check with advantage. The DC will be a 10 for you specifically as a trained doctor.
Which will mean flat. That's a 16, and she'll get back HP. The healer's feat would get her HP, but I don't know if that's...
If only HP was the problem.
That's what I figured.
As you open your healer's kit, you look at this whole situation. You see Abigail's having trouble breathing. You see her breaths are shallow. She's just been given a pill by Vander, and you can see that pill as well. And with a 16, you recognize that to be some sort of bronchodilator. A very specific medicine, one that could help Abigaile. One wasn't enough, but in this sorry state, where Abigaile is having so much trouble breathing she could be gone any moment, using the rest of the bottle might at least stabilize her for now, you would say to yourself.
I know that she needs these pills and that she's coughing and choking, so I have Vander steady her, hold her. Your touch is the touch that she'll trust the most. Just hold one hand on her forehead, one hand on her shoulder, and Nihilus, if you could get the tongue depressor. I think you have a more delicate touch than the others. And she dumps those pills down her throat and kind of massages her throat and makes sure she doesn't choke and has water on hand.
She doesn't come to, but you notice she takes to the pills immediately, and her breathing, it opens just enough. You hear the whistle from her lungs to survive just a while longer.
And I guess I could have used Mage Hand to kind of poke him down. But then maybe she'd puke.
She's breathing.
Yeah. The whole time that this is happening, Trevor is firmly, but not aggressively, holding Abigail's shoulders close just to keep from any spasming or any kind of throwing herself around if she finds that she does not want to be swallowing these pills. Trevor has done this before. In matter of fact, she's done this with Dr. Glass probably months ago. Just his job was to make sure to keep the more unruly patients that was around Dr. Glass still. And in this moment, it's a nice nostalgic, if a little bittersweet nostalgia, to just be like, oh, I know how to do this. And is just going to look up as Dr. Glass is doing this.
Good, Trevor. Well done, everyone.
She thrashes in your arms, but you hold her steady. And through the efforts of Dr. Glass and Vander and Nihilus, she takes the pills. And she's okay for the moment. But she's not going to be okay forever.
Doctor, what do I do?
Well, I just gave her an extreme dose of medication. It was an emergency maneuver. So we'll need to monitor her very carefully. Did you get any advice other than these pills at the hospital? First of all, I'm very relieved to see you. I was quite worried when... Were you there for that little riot at St. Seraphina's? Is that when you left?
Look, I don't know what the hell happened down at that fucking damn asylum or hospital, whatever it is. They couldn't help Abby. They didn't do a damn thing. I should have gone to the Citadel to begin with. I shouldn't have listened to what you said. Go to the asylum, they would help, and they didn't do a damn thing, Dr. Glass.
Stars, I'm sorry. The Citadel was on fire, in my defense. But I am very sorry, and I accept that I underestimated the situation at the asylum in many ways, everyone.
Our defense. You're not on this on your own, Dr. Glass.
As she hugs Nihilus so hard.
We can ration out the blame properly at another time. Can we,
Yeah, she doesn't look very good still.
Yes, so they told you nothing except take these pills and fuck off.
They gave me these pills, told me good luck and fuck off. Yeah, that's about it, yeah.
All right. Do you know... But it's still salt lung, and the after effects of untreated salt lung that we're dealing with, as far as you know.
As far as I know, where the fuck are those damn miners at? Where the fuck did they go?
There's...
We did see a miner. He wasn't in the best of places. Vander, there haven't been real flesh and blood miners here for years.
Well, don't make a lick of sense. I've seen them.
Nihilus snaps his fingers.
Dr. Glass goes rigid in Nihilus's arms and glares at him with hatred. Boris, we're still doing the Boris thing, Nihilus?
You see a skeleton kind of janky maneuver move its way around the corner, having been hidden from you for this time.
This is the closest we have at the moment.
You see a pickaxe dragging behind.
Yes, it could be useful.
Look, I am very glad to see all of you, and I would love to catch up on what the hell you guys have been up to and what the hell that is. But I got to get Abby help. Do you know how to get out of here?
All right. We're trying to go through these mines that we think come out the other end in civilization, likely right underneath the spire of the Citadel. I'm not very familiar with the workings of the lowborn, except they're very fancy and rich and probably jerks. But through there, you can almost certainly get to Blackthorn University and their campus, where there are actual medical facilities, and we can give you names of at least one doctor who could help if you can't get help before then.
From where we are, is it possible to figure out where we could go to find an exit, or are we just picking a direction and going?
Well, Trevor, you're somebody who probably operates a lot on intuition. I think Vander's a lot like you in that way. What would you be doing to try to find your way?
I don't know if Trevor would know this, is the thing. But it is possible, as someone who has worked in a rural environment, there's possibility that he's interacted with miners not here, but elsewhere, where if you were able to take a match and strike it, the wind is always going to blow out into from the cave into the exit. So if you follow the direction that the wind is blowing flame, you would be able to follow the corridor to an exit.
That's very clever. And there's no check for that. That's just good knowledge to have as somebody who's traveled, who's worked, who's done merc work. Do you strike a flame?
Well, hopefully there's no gas in here. He'll definitely start doing that. He's gonna reach in. He's got a small little matchbook. He doesn't have a full box. He doesn't smoke or anything like that, but he's going to strike a match and just hold it out in front of him and see if that helps.
You hear the flame light, and then the patter of the flame being blown by a light breeze. And you can see it's going in a direction. You could follow it as you continue striking matches.
So, if we're looking for an exit, wind is blowing that way. That's our best bet. If we're looking for the Citadel, it might be deeper in.
I think that's probably our best bet with how this place is being.
All I know is the one thing I had to keep her breathing, I'm now out of. I'm on pins and needles here. I can't think straight. Whatever way you guys want to go, I'll follow you.
Then we can't stay still. We can't stay still. We have to go, no matter what. So let's go.
Out or in? Citadel, exit. I'm just going to look over at Vander. Is there a possibility that once we hit the Citadel, we find someone who could treat her? Or do we just try and get out of this godforsaken hole?
Vander, you'll know that taking the exit will be too much time for Abigaile.
It's been a while since I've been there, but I know people in the city.
All right.
It's better than going. I don't have time to go back. We got to go forward.
No, let's go. Let's go.
To the Citadel then.
You follow the flame as it flickers in a direction. You get to across the roads. You see the space where Vander had made considerable work digging into these mines. Miners of old would call this mine fever. Perhaps one of the reasons why this place was abandoned, but who could say for sure? And as you descend these halls, you hear and see the flicker of torches. As you get closer, you can hear the light conversational voices, though you can't quite yet make out what they're saying. You've made quite a distance, and that flame still points you in that direction, blown by that light breeze.
These voices, can we make out any specific words?
Roll perception with a DC of 17.
It's a natural 20 for a 22.
A natural 20. Trevor, you creep closer to the voices as quietly as you can, and you can get close enough where you know you won't be seen. And there's a voice that you recognize, with a natural 20 especially. First, you hear the echoes of these caverns of the mountain. They are opposed by the sound of running water. You hear a hollowness, a lot like a castle corridor, that ambient noise that bounces off flat walls. If your intuitions are about you, you can guess you might be close to the sewer system of the Citadel. And that voice, you hear, "Now you keep an eye out,
That's real bad.
because I have it on good authority that he's going to come this way. He has to." This is the voice of Penny.
Backs off immediately, hearing that. He's going to slowly try and make his way back, and he's going to speak in hushed tones. We might want to keep our voices down. Sound carries a lot in these corridors. Water. I heard water. It's got to be flowing somewhere. And, well, he looks over at Vander. It's a mine. There's very little wiggle room. It's a hallway. And at the end of that hallway is, kind of gives a bit of a wide-eyed stare out in the middle distance before turning back to him. It's Penny.
Right.
Do you know how many others there are?
You think we can avoid them?
They're probably expecting us. I doubt it.
With a natural 20, Trevor, you can count with as much certainty as you would not being able to see, but just using your ears, at least 8.
Number I'm gonna hazard a guess and say a lot. Now, as to whether we could take him, I didn't see them.
Who's Penny?
I would hesitate to call him an old friend. I never really was on friendly terms with him. Long story short, he lent me a good bit of script back in the day, but, I couldn't pay it back. And then I had a job that would get him the money, but he wasn't satisfied with it. He's a loan shark. He preys on the weak and the needy. And he took advantage of me.
We had a peep at him when you was going to the hospital. Not a pleasant folk.
He's not going to be friendly.
No, not after what happened last time.
Even less so this time. I have a few tricks up my sleeve that I can still pull off in my current state, but a lot is a lot. But we have Esper this time, and
Vander is going to feel a little tug on his pant leg, and looking up at him is the curly blonde hair and the dark blue eyes. Esper does not look terribly compromised today.
I'm glad to see you feeling better.
Hello. We've met before, but it's nice to meet you. I can help today.
Thank you. But look, time is of the essence. If we have to scrap with Penny, I am all for it. Trust me, he's long overdue for an ass whooping. But if we can get past him without him knowing we're even here, I've got some tricks I can pull too. But it's really up to you guys.
We try to slip by, but if it starts to go south, it's going to go south, and we have to be ready for that.
Trevor, it sounds like from what you discovered, there's no getting by that route. It's jump them or find another route, yes.
From what he said, from what I heard, he's counting on this being the only way through. And that's why he's here.
Vander, you said that paying him back, he didn't think it was enough.
It was never enough.
And it will never be enough?
Look, after the trick Abigaile pulled on him, I think the only thing he's gonna want now is me dead.
That's the kind of clue that I needed. Thank you.
Alright. I'm gonna take this time and just go ahead and cast Pass without tracing everybody. Don't know if it'll work, but you all get plus 10 to your stealth rolls.
You cast Pass Without Trace, and you notice as all of you look down at your skin, almost like a chameleon, it forms its color to try to match the area around you. It's not perfect, but it's something.
Above table, what is Dr. Glass's current movement speed?
12 or 13, half of 25.
You have to roll down to the lowest, so it's 10. It's 10.
Oh, it's in their square, right.
The nearest 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine that if Trevor was going to move and wanted, we had to keep up the pace with Vander, that it would be in our best interest if Trevor was to carry Glass.
Uppies.
Because even with a halved movement speed for Trevor, he can still move 20 feet.
I would impose no roll for Dr. Glass's stealth and disadvantage on Trevor's stealth. Is how I would resolve that.
That's still better, I think. I mean, I would...
And for Vander carrying Abby?
I would still have disadvantage anyway, because I still have 1 level of exhaustion.
Yeah, and for Vander carrying Abby, I wouldn't impose disadvantage because you are a troop. Your stat sheets are together, You are one and the same, and you work together efficiently. If you were carrying anybody else, it would be the same effect, but not Abby.
I'm trying to think if there's any minor illusion that could help distract, but if it's that narrow, it's only 30-foot range on minor illusion. Do we have a sense of the distance, Wes, from Trevor's Nat 20 between us and the other side of this gang?
All you can tell, Trevor, is that they're around the corner and in the distance, and exactly the amount of feet. I mean, even with a natural 20, that would be difficult to guess. Though they're close enough to be audible to you. So they're probably within a maximum of, say, 90 feet from where you were standing.
It's been a little while since the escape of the asylum. Would Nihilus have a feasible guess that Jane would have made it to Irik's old compound by now?
She could have. Tough to tell.
If you didn't run into anything.
Yeah.
Okay, but just based on distance, on map-wise.
If she was going directly there, she probably would be there or close by now.
In that case, Nihilus says, I don't like how much information we lack about the situation. I don't know about you. If I fight representing Saurus, I need to win, of course. I can't be shown off as an Inquisitor and then be flat out on my bum. Just a moment. From the Fiendish Hills, I summon you. Come to me. Auriculus Noctiportor. From his hand, he summons a small portal from which his familiar comes back, the same one who's been assisting Jane on her travels. But from any given distance, as an action, I can summon them back to my original location.
Nihilus, you told me you needed a brazier and all sorts of other things in order to get Auriculius Noctiforior to send a letter for me.
Well, it's a bat. It's not trained in order to be sent a letter. I have my other familiar for that. Plus, this one was assisting Jane, and I did promise her that...
Oh, is this not Auriculius Noctiforior? I am so sorry, Sir or Madam. Are they both Auriculius Noctiforior?
But if I were to send a letter, I would send out my hawk, Ruprum Fulgarium.
Ruprum Fulgarium.
Look, this is a matter for another time, if you don't mind. For that one, I would need a brazier. Auriculius Noctifor, please assist me. I need information. Something up ahead. Use your blind sight. Show me. And Nihilus will close his eyes and look through the eyes of his familiar.
This albino bat takes off, its wings flapping as it flies through the ceilings of this tunnel. And through its eyes, or rather through its senses, you can feel the presence of what's around you. You have blind sight. And as it flies around the corner to where Trevor heard those noises, you see a break in that sewer system, a crevice that you can climb through to be in the sewers proper. You see the cobblestone and the flowing excrement flows through it. And there, you see a camp made. You see tents, fire, and people. As the bat flies out, nobody the wiser because there are bats here. You see everything. There are a total of 10 people. There is a camp. And there are some what look to be barricades and defenses, makeshift, put together. There are, if you were going to walk through it unimpeded, if you could, you'd go through 2 doors.
Nihilus is going to lose the connection of sense, but keep Auriculius Noctiforor flying around in there. But just hanging on something, trying not to get suspicion. Look, There's little than a dozen people there. There are a couple of guards on watch currently. I do believe, with the right amount of luck, willpower, and perhaps a bit of trickery from you, Vander, we can try to sneak past them. There are 2 main doors we need to go through. But if things go awry, there are others there. There's 10s. There could even be more than I'm aware of. I do not want to instigate a fight with these people.
And Wes, you said there was one fire that they were around, like lighting the area primarily?
There's a fire, and there are various braziers hung from walls and candles. The space is well illuminated. Intentionally so. It's a barricade that's being watched.
Because I have control flames, which is somatic only. There's no verbal component, which I can use to dim the light that flames cast. And I can do that on up to 3 at once. So I could do it. If I extinguish the flames completely, that would be suspicious, and they'd be like, "What's up?" And also, we wouldn't be able to see. But I could use, as we enter, I can dim 3 of the most prominent lights to help us sneak, so that there's less light falling on us, but we can still see.
You do hear Abigail's breathing. It's starting to shallow again, slowly over time. Can't stay here forever, and Dr. Glass, you feel it in your... I was going to say soul, but instead you feel it somewhere. That approach is growing nearer.
We should go now if we're going to bring me into my trap.
You want to leave Abigaile here, or do you want to bring her with? I mean, if we're sneaking on by, she's going to have to come with, but if the other shoe drops, she might be a liability.
I can take care of Abigaile. And I'm not leaving her here. She's got to come. One thing I will mention, if it comes down to it, if we have to fight, if Penny drops, the rest, he leads them. If you take him down, I'm sure they'll see reason. They'll turn it around without him guiding them. They won't have no reason to fight.
And do you still have that big bag of scrip?
I do, yeah.
That is a lot of reasons for them to see, if it comes to it. All right, let's go. I feel desperation creeping in, if you know what I mean.
If indeed the shoe drops like Trevor says, I'll put a protective ward on Abigail. Make sure she won't be harmed. And Nihilus is going to put his hand over his shield and remove the light from his cantrip. And with a sway of his hands, he's going to flick and use his cantrip, Control Flames, in order to dim and douse the current flames that they are currently having.
Fucking yoink.
Stole Dr. Glass's idea.
I used it last session. I'm just saying.
Fair enough. Your flames dim.
Let us approach.
Yeah, and I'm in Trevor's arms, kind of conducting, like a diminuendo of the flames. Like, now that one goes out. That one very gently.
As you turn the corner, I'm about to have you roll a stealth check. But what you will see is you'll see that this cavern, it opens to a camp, makeshift in these sewers. You see tents and 4 guards standing watch. 2 patrol and 2 stand at either ends. And you see 2 doors. One of a smaller makeshift wooden wall, and one of a larger makeshift wooden wall. The first is made of wood, with a low-quality standard lock. The second has a higher quality bolt that you would have to unlock to go through it. As you approach, I need everybody to roll a stealth check. This is a group stealth check. I'll be averaging it. And the DC is a 16.
Everyone can add a +10.
Trevor, yours is going to be with disadvantage. Dr. Glass, you're not rolling. Everybody else, roll as you would a stealth check. This will not be the last time that you make a stealth roll in this maneuver.
Does Auricurious Noctifurer have to roll a stealth roll?
No, it's a bat. It hangs from the ceiling. That's normal around here.
And that's a weird fucking looking backdrop there. As for my stealth check, with disadvantage, it is a 27.
Okay.
Damn. Nihilus for 21?
21, 27,
Esper 24.
and Vander.
Vander rolled a natural 1 or 5 plus 10 is 15.
So even if we consider a critical fail with a natural 1, the average roll for the party is an 18. You creep through these tunnels. You make your way to the entrance to this camp. You see old leather tents having been propped up. You see a pig spit over the fire being rotated by somebody just standing around in camp. And you see the guards who keep watch, but they're not expertly trained. They just have eyes. And as you approach this entryway, your skin mimicking the colors that are behind you, less a crumbled rock or small stick being broken, you turn the corner and you crouch as you slowly walk behind one of the tents. Rounding it, you get to the first door of this camp. You hear a whistling from one of those just sitting around. And you see Penny. You see him for the first time as through one of the tent flaps that wiggle in the light breeze of this sewer, you see him sitting inside, silently with his eyes closed. You're practically holding your breath. You're in this camp. The closest guard, the closest thug that works for Penny is just feet from you. You can hear the rustle inside the tent that you're standing next to, crouching close to the bottom, hiding in the shadows. This door is one way in towards the Citadel. Of course, there will be some attention on it, but not always. And people, like I said, these not so well trained might not always have their eye on it.
I was going to ask, while I'm being transported, I want to just look and see if I see a lovely ring of keys on anyone's belt or something.
Give me a perception check, Dr. Glass.
Which will have disadvantage because of exhaustion.
You can roll that straight. I'll assume you're getting the help action from anybody.
Nihilus uses his eyes to look.
16 perception.
Inside the largest tent, the leather that covers it, tanned black, you see Penny. But more notably, on his belt, you see a large metal key ring. He keeps it in the front. In this moment, with your passive insight, it almost seems taunting anyone who might glance at it from within this tent. Though his attention does not turn to you, it's on whatever it is that he's thinking about as he waits with his eyes closed, but his ears open.
And Dr. Glass, though she has excellent mage hand, is not very adroit with the fine motor skill stuff. So she says mentally to much of the group, we could try to take Penny's keys, but I think that will likely be a disaster. I have a spell that will open the lock, but it's very loud, so it would be a do it and run, which we're not very good at right now.
As this is happening, when you say most of the group, I'm assuming that's sans Trevor.
Yeah, well, he doesn't like it.
As he's looking, he's going to look around to the rest of the group and just kind of like, in the hushest of whispers, just say like, "Hey, like, anybody got one of them hairpins?" The above table, he's asking for thieves' tools.
Would Abigaile have him? Being a rogue?
Yeah, I would say yeah. In fact, Vander, you'd know that Abigaile keeps a set on her. She has from when you met her.
Yeah. I think Abby's got some. Let me look around in her pockets.
You rustle through and you find that old leather binding that rolled up contains all of the tools you might need.
Yeah, I got it here. I don't know how to use them, but if you do.
It's all right. I mean, it's been a while, I'll be honest. Sometimes one of the farmhands would misplace one of their keys, and then I'm left out in the blistering sun. You learn to get a little resourceful. Luckily, when he multiclassed into rogue, he obtained a little proficiency with this kind of thing. And he is going to attempt to try and unlock the door while they're having an internal conversation with the hairpin he's got.
While Trevor is doing that, Esper is pointed toward the tent and Penny, and she's slowly pulling her sword out, just in case.
And I see and hear all this, and I'm minor illusion, just some cave sounds to cover any incidental noise. Like kind of one of those eerie, almost winds. They're just going to go,
Ambient sounds to fall asleep and study to.
Yeah.
Esper, as you slowly draw your sword, Trevor, as you approach this door, even the hushed lights from the brazier, not enough to fully obscure it. I need a stealth check and a lockpicking check. Please start with the stealth check, and that's just from Trevor. And the DC on the stealth check will be a 22 this time, because you are now stepping into the doorway that is being watched, the first of two. And Dr. Glass, as Trevor steps forward, as he makes this roll, you feel in that empty space an approach, a palpitation of the heart.
So?
And he's put me down, I imagine, and I'm leaning on my cane and just saying nothing and trying not to panic.
Due to the disadvantage, it's not a nat 20, but it is still, with the help of Pass Without a Trace, a 24.
And the lockpicking check?
I'm going to add proficiency to this sleight of hand because I am proficient. So this will be a plus 3.
And I'm going to say, well done, Trevor. You've got this. And he has Bardic.
So with disadvantage, I would still add my proficiency to this. So this is a +3 to the 17, which makes it a modified 20 even with disadvantage.
A modified 20. As you slink up to this door, keeping your stature as small as possible, letting the pass without trace do its work, blending you with the cover of this wall. As you take your lockpicks and you slowly go to insert them into the lock, you feel no resistance. It passes into this space, and your heart, it sinks, Trevor. It sinks so deep, you can feel it in the bottom of your throat. You can feel the weight, because you realize that this is an alarm spell. And there is a ding of a bell. And that's where we'll end this session.